Good afternoon, everybody. It's Dean, and I'm live for today's training session, Build Your 90-Day Pipeline. So if you're joining us on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else, welcome. I can see Jackie's already in the chat. Jackie, it's early for you. Yeah, Georgia, Jackie's from Georgia. Please let us know where you're joining from in the chat. So I can interact with you. You can ask questions. It doesn't matter what social channel you're joining from. The comments all come in to a little screen just there. So we're going to start in a couple of minutes. I just want to apologize, actually, first of all, for the last couple of weeks, we've had some major glitches connecting all of the social channels up. And last week we had it big style. So, it's all running now, but you'll notice a little bit difference how we present now and some of those things. So apologies if it was a bit glitchy for the last couple of weeks. We think some of the platforms have been changing what they've been doing, which makes it a bit difficult. So in this session, I've just got the notification that we're live across all the channels. We are going to talk about building your 90-day pipeline. Hi, Dale from Philadelphia. And Joy is there. Joy, thank you for your comment on my post yesterday, I think, or was it last night? I appreciate that. And we're really going to unpack what it means to build a pipeline. And we've come on a little bit early, and we've deliberately come on early. Hi, Keith from London, just so that we could test everything was working. Here's Shamir from Leicester, and Nick from Germany, and Jenny from UK by the looks of it. So Etta from South Africa. So yeah, we've got lots of people joining across all the different platforms. Andrew's here, Gary from Bristol, Amy from Amy. I have a northern accent, but I'm so bad out of practice. I don't know whether it comes across. John from California, awesome. We're really, just as you're joining, just let me know you're in the chat, because it's really strange doing these webinars, because we've got about 2,000 people registered, just short of 2,000 people registered, and it's all over the social media. It's good to interact through the chat. So Claire from Spain, Amelia from London, Jacobo from New York, George from Northampton. Yes, we do need to have that call, George, as well. Gary, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Bristol, by the way. It was really good. Okay, so let me just set the scene whilst we're just making sure everybody can get in okay and join. Anthony from London, Brill. Pipeline. What do I mean by pipeline? I mean business that's not coming in smack bang in front of you. A lot of businesses, particularly smaller businesses, generally have, and salespeople have this challenge where their pipeline 2 or 3 times a year just kind of evaporates. Yeah. And it's like starting from scratch. And I want to talk through why that happens and how you can make sure that you build the pipeline for the next 3 months, but then don't let it slip again and fall into that famine where you're having to scramble to build up a pipeline. And in the 8 years of Maverick's existence, and way before that, the amount of businesses I've spoke to where it's like yo-yo, is unreal. It's something that is so common, yet nobody seems to figure out why it happens. I'm going to spot the obvious. I'm going to tell you the obvious, but I'm also going to go through the what, why, and how of how to fix it. So we've only got a little bit of time. That's why I've come on early, so we can get the live going, so that we can just dive into this. And I've also experimented with some slides, so hopefully they work. So yes, Vicky's joining from the Midlands, Nifar from Toronto, Teresa Quinn from Windsor, Sebastian from Leicester, Brill, Gary, if you want a copy of the recording, we will email you a copy of the recording, but I'm also going to share some new resources we've launched, which will be available if you ask for them. We're not just like dishing them out. So if you want them, you can email us, and the email I'll put on screen, or one of the team will put on screen. So any of the resources I mentioned in today's session, if you want a copy of them, just email us at hi@maverick.io. So send us an email, hi@maverick.io, and ask for the references. There's one particular thing that I think is worthwhile. It's 20 pages. but it's actually unpacking the mentality of how you need to approach sales, particularly on a digital platform. So I think we're more or less here. Gillian's here from Somerset, Aaron from Bristol, another person from Bristol. So Gary, you're in good company. John from Florida. So there's a good crowd here today. So let's get into this and let's get going. Now I'm going to ask something really cheesy, right? Before we get into this, this is the only really cheesy thing I'm going to ask you to do. We all know how social media works. We know how YouTube works. We know how LinkedIn works, that these likes, comments, and follows are really important to get us seen, to get us noticed. So we do these deliberately to help people so that they'll go out and rant and rave and shout and sing about us. Maybe not rant and rave, but you know what I mean. So if you're watching this, please do the whole follow, the like, the comment, the subscribes, all of that stuff. It really does mean a lot to us in terms of getting the message out there and giving as much as we can away for free. So please. Okay, so this is the free guide. Now it will make more sense. It will make more sense as we get going why I'm telling you that this guide will be useful for you. So number one, if you want a copy of this, it's called the 3 Principles to Get Clients from Social Media. Whether you're a salesperson or whether you're a solopreneur, the principles are exactly the same. And more now, whatever business you're in, if you're B2B, you really have 3 channels. Yeah. B2B, you have 3 very clear channels. You have the phone, you have email, and you have LinkedIn. Yes, you've got Instagram, and yes, you've got Twitter and all of those, but really they're the 3 big behemoth channels that you've got. So what we're going to be looking at is how we use a pipeline. How do we build a sales pipeline, a revenue pipeline, a pipeline of future business? And then how do we do that in practicality? And I'm going to be referring to predominantly digital channels because people are working from home now. So calling an office doesn't necessarily work. Calling a mobile, you may not want to do it and you may not feel comfortable doing it. And some of your prospects may not want you to do it either. So we're going to look at that. But this guide really unpacks some of the stuff that I won't have the time to go into in an hour's session. So again, if you want this, we'll email it to you, hi@maverick.io, and we will share this with you. So I can see Robert's joined, Stuart's here, Greg's here, Charlotte's here, James Winstone's here, Shana's here. So if you want a copy of the free guide, drop us an email and we will send this to you. It's called the 3 Principles of Getting Clients from Social Media. And it's 3 key fundamentals that we won't be able to unpack in time here. So let's get started. If you've got questions, you can put the questions in the chat. And if you put them in the chat, we will happily answer them as we go. So if you've got questions as we go through this and go, how would this apply to me? Please do put them in the chat. So, quick survey. How many of you watching today have had the scenario where you've been really, really busy in the business and it falls off a cliff? Yeah. You're going up and it feels like you can't breathe how busy it is. And then suddenly it falls off a cliff and it's like ghost town. Yeah. And then you have to scurry around to try and drum up business. Anybody had that? Yeah. Anybody had that? Yeah. Hi, Simon. If you've had that scenario of really busy and then falls off a cliff quiet, please let me know in the chat and just say yes if you've had that scenario in the chat. And what I'm going to talk about is why that happens, how to prevent it, and what you need to do to eliminate a lot of stress and anxiety and frustration around sales and marketing. So there's a few of us had it. There's about 6 or 7. Oh, it's coming in thick and fast now. Carrie's had it. Shabir's had it. Sarah's had it. We've all had it. And I want to walk through why it happens. Thomas, if you want a copy of it, please do email us. Please don't put your emails in the chat. Just drop us an email and we'll send it to you. So send us an email. So yeah, if you want this guide, just drop us the email. Right. So you see how cool my slides are now? Look at this. I've been playing with these for a few days now. So the reason why we get into this problem with pipeline, which you're all agreeing you've had, is because of really two main reasons. Number one is we neglect the sales and marketing function. So we get so busy, and I've been to businesses where they've been so flat out working late nights, the works, that they neglect it. And then they come out of one of their record periods, their record quarter or their record months of real business. And then they wonder whether they're going to have to lay people off in the next quarter. It's that big of a drop. The reason it happens is often we neglect sales and marketing. So we get so busy, we push it to the back, we don't need to worry about it. And so we park it and don't do it. Very, very common, very logical decision, but actually it proves to be a fatal mistake for a lot of businesses when they're trying to build a pipeline and momentum behind their name and their brand and their message. Now, the other version of this is actually quite different. And this is, they're so aggressive with selling, they're so aggressive in converting, that what they do is they pursue the low-hanging fruits. And when they pursue the low-hanging fruits, what happens is they neglect the harder stuff, the clients who are not quite ready, and they just focus on what they can convert and convert now. And so then you end up with a situation where you exhaust your methodology. So I'll give you an example. This is a little bit distracting. Lesson number one, don't make too distracting a slide. So when you exhaust your pipeline, it's because you've probably been thinking too short term. And so what happens is you implement a tactic. So cold email outreach, you implement direct messaging on LinkedIn, and you will do it to effectively get the low hanging fruit. The problem comes is you have to try and do that again, and you're never developing the better, more lucrative opportunities because they require some work, they require some effort. And so those are generally, there's economic issues, and COVID had a big part to play in demand. I'm not kind of covering those. I'm talking about the ones you can control. So there is the marketing neglecting sales and marketing, and then actually ineffective or short-term way of thinking about marketing. So this diagram that distracted me easier, I want to walk you through how this will help you and how this will bring clarity to what you should be doing to build that pipeline. I know I did this thinking, wow, this will look really cool. But now as I'm looking at on reflection, it's a bit too intense. So apologies if this is a little intense, this slide. So what we have to do, and this is real simple, is we have to align our sales and our marketing function. I know I'm teaching you to suck eggs, but when we kind of dig into this, it'll kind of big light bulb moment. So think about your own marketing right now. Think about it and go, what's the results I'm getting? And Candice, if you're saying this still happening, I'm hoping you mean, is this event still happening, not the crazy diagram on the slide. Think about your own marketing. Is your marketing setting you up for sales? Is it setting you up for sales? And the reason I want to unpack this is I see lots of people posting content, sending stuff, producing lead magnets, writing blogs that do not set you up for a sale. And if you think about it as a trajectory, think about it as a trajectory. This is your marketing, and this is what you're doing out in the world. And over here is the sale. And your marketing should be the gateway to the sale. But for most people, it isn't. For most people, it isn't. And I'll go through the fundamental principles of how this works, so I'm not just going to stay at this kind of high level. So everything your marketing is doing, or should be doing, and this applies to a salesperson because in the 21st century, salespeople are marketers. Because if you're on LinkedIn, you have to get people to give you attention. You have to get people to pay you attention. So George, good point. A lot of businesses put pressure on salespeople to actually operate in the short term. And so in this scenario, George, I'm going to challenge you, and hopefully you won't bite my head off in my DMs later, that if you want to get ahead, you have to go beyond what your company's telling you to do. I'm not saying get fired, but actually if they're asking you to scrape the bottom of the barrel every time, if they're asking you to get the low-hanging fruit, which is often what companies do, and I'm not saying George particularly that's being asked of him, but if that's what you need to do to hit your targets, effectively it's a flawed way of thinking, because we place demands on people because we want them to have a healthy level of pressure, and we all need a healthy level of pressure. But if we don't give people enough space to create opportunities, what happens is we create a very bad culture. We create a very bad way of thinking about growing a business and scaling a business. What happens is we bounce from tactic to tactic. So again, another moment of truth. Have you found yourself jumping from one hack or tactic to another because the previous one didn't work or stopped working? That's a telltale sign that you've not joined those two things together, the marketing and sales together. If you're having to jump around for different tactics, you've not settled on a way to actually promote and develop your business. What you're doing is playing with toys and tactics and technology, not really convincing human beings in a scalable way to buy from you. That's what this is all about, right? The reason to build a pipeline is to have enough people ahead of us to buy from us. Yeah, enough people in front of us to fuel our revenue, to fuel our business. And you know, I don't want to demean customers here, and that's not my intent, but I'm just going to be as straightforward as I can. Yeah, I am assuming that you deliver a good service, you know what you do, and all of that stuff. But when it fundamentally comes to it, what you're trying to do is have enough people for the next 3 months that will feed your business and fund your business. So when you think about it like that, and now think about maybe some of the things you've been doing, how far in front of yourself are you actually operating? Because I would argue, yes, a 90-day pipeline is brilliant, but actually a 12-month pipeline is even better. And I'm going to show you step by step now how I build our pipeline, what I'm trying to do, and how it's paying off. So I'll show you some examples of how this works. My main channel is LinkedIn. I know other people use email and other people use calls. Calls are a bit trickier because by its very nature, it's not something you can develop other than if you keep ringing the same people. But with email and LinkedIn, you get the opportunity, if done right, to nurture and add value and demonstrate that you are the best choice. So I'm going to walk through that. But the fundamental thing that you have to do to build a pipeline is summed up in 2 words. You have to create the demand and you have to reduce the friction. So if you think about what George was sharing earlier about some companies that think short term, what they're doing is very different to what I just said. So this phrase here, create demand and reduce the friction, actually what companies who are thinking short term are doing is searching for the demand and then dealing with the friction. Searching for the demand and dealing with the friction. Very different. Because what we do when we need short-term leads, when we need leads and sales and we need them now, what we do is we go hunt for people who want what we've got. Look at the LinkedIn messages, look at the emails you get, look at the phone calls you get. It's people hunting for people who need something. That's pretty much what it is. Can I convert somebody? Are they looking for something? Can I twist their arm into needing this product? And then reducing the friction is what we're trying to do, but actually what they do is they deal with the friction. So they go, well, actually, people don't respond to our emails, so we'll send follow-ups, just circling back, just following up. They're just trying to overcome the friction, not reduce it. They're not trying to get rid of it. They're living with it and operating, taking it, mitigating it, or trying to get round it, navigate through it. So this is what they try and do. So, and this is what they try and do. And this is what actually we need to do to build a pipeline. Because the reality is, a lot of your customers, a lot of the people who can buy from you just don't see why. They don't get it. And so when you go to the short-term model, you're basically saying, I don't want to help them get it. I want to find the people who already get it. And the reason your pipeline will often run dry is because you run through all of the people you found in that. Now, there's a stat, and I share it on some of our training, that around 3% of your addressable market, 3% of your potential customers right now are actively looking for what you're selling. Yeah, actively looking. That's what where they are right now. 3%. So your job, if you're thinking short term, and I mean like literally next couple of weeks in front of yourself, is to literally find those people. Whereas when you build a pipeline, and where you build a long-term pipeline and you integrate sales and marketing together, we actually create our own demand. We actually, instead of going after those 3%, we go, what about the 97? And how do we create demand in the 97? It's actually, much easier to create the demand in the 97 than it is to find the needle in the haystack. Joy, I'm glad you like that statement. I should make a quote or something and put it on Instagram. So I want to walk you through this diagram. I want to walk you through why it matters, and I'm going to give you practicals so you can see the what, the why, and the how. So there's 3 stages to this, and if you complete this, it's actually tying sales and marketing totally together, like inextricably linked. And I can give you some examples as we go. So this diagram here is what we call our model for priming. What do I mean by priming? Because this is a phrase that I use a lot. And it is literally linking, connecting, and dovetailing sales and marketing so that the marketing piece does one element of the work. And this applies to salespeople too. So you don't need to switch off and go, that's marketing's job. Yeah. It's connecting the two together so that one provides for the other. Now that seems common sense, but actually the many companies, marketing and sales work completely different, separate, isolated. They do their own things. They don't work together. They don't collaborate. They fight with each other. Power games, the works. But when we link these together, we can do 3 things. And those 3 things allow the salesperson, the business owner, whoever is trying to get the client on board to take all of the friction and create a higher demand. So the first one is the outer ring, and the outer ring is 3 fundamental things that have to happen in the prospect's world. They have to be aware, they have to relate, and they have to believe in what. And I'm going to walk you through the 3 things that they need to believe, and I'm going to show you how you can do this. So if you're a salesperson and you've got to do this for yourself, you don't have the backup of a marketing department. If you're a small business owner and you don't have the backup of a marketing department, this is how you can do it. So the first one in our inner ring, to actually get to the point where we can scale our sales without having to push, we can pull and attract more clients, we can create demand for our service, we can get inbound, we can build relationships that build us future opportunities down the line, whether that be in month 2, month 3, month 4, month 6, month 18. We have to build our expert authority. Now, I'm not talking about building an international brand. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about showing up, being seen, and being recognized as somebody or a company that knows a thing or two about the products, services, and solutions they bring to clients. So these all link together, and there is a massive overlap between these, but actually your expert authority is your positioning in the minds of the client. Have you ever seen, Jason, yes, this will be recorded. So if you want to copy, just ping us an email and we'll ping an email to us and we'll send you a copy. So expert authority is not about building this amazing brand and telling people how many awards you've won. It's about showing up, being present, and elevating yourself from the competition. How do you elevate yourself from the competition? And again, all of these dovetail. Why does it matter? So what is it? It's about being elevated in your market and present and visible in front of your customers. This is where LinkedIn's brilliant. You can be elevated by simply showing up more, being consistent. I'll give you a stat. 5% of LinkedIn users posted in the last 30 days. 5%. Yeah, so that's roughly about 30 million-ish, maybe 40 million-ish users posted in the last month. What do you think the difference would be in terms of people knowing who you are, recognizing your name, and seeing you in their feed more frequently? What do you think the difference would be? And people go, well, I don't have time for that. If you want a pipeline that makes sales easier, make the time. The amount of people I've sometimes, you know, when you have these scenarios and it just frustrates you a little bit and you go, do you realize how much potential you're leaving on the table by not just showing up? Literally showing up is probably 50% of the thing on LinkedIn. Being present, putting stuff out there, getting out there. It takes about 7 to 11 times for somebody to see you on the platform to remember who you are and what you're about. 7 to 11 times. So if you do that consistently, and because of the way the LinkedIn scales, you can literally be showing up and building your status, building your visibility, building your credibility by just showing up, posting. Yeah, posting. I post. I'll give you. I track all my stats. In the last year, on my LinkedIn account, I've had 10 million views. 10 million. Now, of course, it's not 10 million individual people. It's probably, you know, some people it might be 3 times a week. So it might be 3 million unique views. It might be 1 million unique views. I don't know. But what I do know is 10 million views is a lot of attention. And attention is what expert authority is about. Can you get people's attention in the feed without trying to sell to them? And if you do that, if you are present, email, you can do this in email. I did an email a few days ago where I sent some insights, to our list. There's about 30,000 people on the list. Sorry, 19,000 on the group that we sent to, 19,000 on the list. We had a 57% open rate because all we did was shared value, which comes to my next point, which is compelling value. Now, just before I get into this, I'll come back to it in a second. So the what is expert authority is elevating yourself, being out there, being present, being visible, being consistent, putting your message into the space so that people elevate you and see you differently from your competitors. The next point will add more to this again. So the why do this? Because if you are elevated, you are seen as more credible. When it comes down to a decision that a prospect has to make about whether this is a good thing, whether they should make the decision to buy, there's of course the decision on whether they think it's worth it. Yeah, obvious, no brainer. There's the decision on whether it'll get them the result they want, and there's the decision on whether they trust you. Yeah, whether they believe in you, aware, relate, and believe. So your expert authority is key, that you have to get people to be aware of you, show up and be visible, be able to relate to you. You're an engaging personality. Are you engaging with them on the platform? Are you interacting with them? Not selling, just interacting with them. And then do they believe in you? And again, repetition of message, not every day, but repetition of message, a consistent message, consistency builds that credibility that they believe in you. The key to unlocking sales is not about having the perfect sales pitch. It's about belief. People believing you and believing in you. It's people believing in the value you're going to bring and people believing in what you're going to offer them, the product or service that you're going to sell to them. If they don't believe, they won't buy. Real simple stuff, but actually when you think about it, you go, how am I building belief in my reputation? Am I just bragging? Or am I actually sharing stories? Am I engaging with people? Am I interacting with people? Am I taking the time to share thoughts and ideas that might be helpful? Or am I just there going after what I can get? Real simple stuff. I have people message me, and bear in mind, I'm not huge on YouTube, don't do a massive amount on YouTube, but I have people who come to me and I have a call with them because they want to work with us or they want me to work with them to help them scale their business. And they say, I feel like I know you already because I've seen you on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't have big following on YouTube. I pretty much sit on LinkedIn, but just being present, getting your face out there, getting your message out there, sharing a bit will add. Vikram, how many times should you post? Actually, I would focus on trying to get one post out per business day. Let's try with one. I'm on to multiple at the moment, and some work and some don't, but I'm testing things as I go. So, Vikram, I would post once per day, and not all promotional. Remember, people don't believe what salespeople say. People believe people when they discover things. So your job is to help people believe something. It's not to tell them information. It's to help them learn and understand and see for themselves that you are an expert. So you put content out there to help them see. You could share content in email to help them see. So it builds that credibility piece where you're going to the next point, creating compelling value. Creating compelling value. This is one of the most difficult things for people to get hold of. What is compelling value? And the reason it's so difficult, and I'll put this into a plan of action of what you could be doing before we finished. Andrew's just asked, should I be posting an article or just comment on someone else's post, comment on someone else's article? Andrew, I would comment on other people's posts, visibility, and I would also share content that will add value to your audience. Gillian, if you message me, I tell you what I'll do. I've got another video that I will share with you about a way to create content that allows you to use one topic and create 5 different spins on the same topic. I'm not talking about repurposing it from a PDF to a carousel to a Facebook post. I'm not talking about that. I have a method of you creating one piece of content that you can then spin into different versions of content. So not an image to a copy, not a blog to a video. I mean, how do I talk about the same thing in multiple different ways? Because that's what we need to do. Yeah, we have to talk about the same thing in different ways to establish a message to help our audience understand the value we bring. So if you want to copy, Nick, your question, I'm going to come to that in a minute. If you want a copy of that video, it's called the taste video. Just drop us an email. The email address you need to send it to is on screen, hi@maverick.io, and we will send you the taste video. And it's how to break content down into the same topic to tell the story of the content 5 different ways. So, yeah, so Stuart, Gillian, just drop us an email us, and we'll send it to you. So Rachel, again, just drop us the email. So Elizabeth said, comment on people's posts, but also write your own posts. So you're commenting to add value to them, but not salesy, and you're engaging. Tim, so how do you compete when others are cheating? There's no such thing as cheating. You could do what you want on social media. It's your social account and you do what works. But there is a formula to how you get attention. First of all, we'll come to the compelling value now, because that's hi@maverick.io, MAVERR.io. We'll put the email address in the chat on YouTube, but it's on screen, hi@maverick.io. So compelling value. So if we start thinking about compelling value in content, and somebody said earlier, which is a brilliant question, how do you link content to sales? And I'm going to show you right now. So for me to sell something, somebody has to have a problem. And sometimes people live with those problems. For you to sell your product or service, people have to have a challenge and a problem, and they have to have a desire or an eagerness to resolve it and to get rid of that pain. So if you're thinking about this and go, okay, for me to sell my consultancy service, for me to sell my coaching, for me to sell my technology solution, for me to sell my marketing service, whatever it is, you have to have a customer ready to pay for a service you've got. People don't pay for things they don't need. They have to feel they need it. So your content, your compelling value, both in the sales process and in the content, has to be the same content. So let me think about this in a different way. Compelling value. It's not about what you think is compelling value. It's about what's compelling value to the human beings you want to agree to buy from you. And so human beings, we all are those, are inherently self-centered and selfish. You look on social media, right? People obey and pay attention to what suits them. So it only appeals to them if it's relevant to them. So number one, it's only relevant to them. So compelling value has to be about being relevant to the target audience. But you don't want to be just relevant about anything. You want to be relevant in a way that's linked to the sale you're going to make. So let me ask you this. If you went into the doctor and you sat down, would the doctor tell you you need this prescription, you need this medication straight away? Wouldn't. Anybody been to the doctor where they've just sat down in his office or her office and they've just prescribed something and said, see you next week. Take 2 of these and see you next week. No, that's not what happens. What happens is the doctor starts to ask questions to get the patient to think about what they've been experiencing in their world. So, have you had headaches? Do you have a sore back? What's your heart rate like? How are you breathing? Do you have a cough? Do you have any chest pain? Do you have any other ailments? They start to ask the patient and communicate with the patient about the symptoms so that they can help the patient realize, oh, this is the doctor's understanding their needs. And then the doctor gets the opportunity, sale, to say to people, if those are your symptoms, this is probably the solution to solve that. Now, here's a fascinating thing. Human beings, I love this. You might think this is obvious, but to me, this blows me away every time I think about it. When you're sick or ill, or you've stumped your toe, and think about this in the context of your marketing, because if you get this, it just changes everything. When you stump your toe, what is it that makes you not want to do it again? It's the pain. If you break your toe, what are you worried about? Is it the toe that's bent and twisted? Maybe. Or is it the pain that comes with it? Now, this might sound like a negative message, but when you think about it, Human beings take more action to get rid of stuff than they do to run to stuff. So when we're thinking about our compelling value and we're thinking about it in content and how we talk to a prospect, actually, they're more interested in getting rid of the problem, the pain, than the root cause. So you might be telling people in your LinkedIn posts or in your newsletters or in your calls about how amazing your tech is and what it can do for them. But if you don't show them about the things it gets rid of, if you don't help them see all the hassles in their world that this deals with, there's no incentive, there's no imperative to take action. And so this is why you have a lot of prospects where they're interested in how exciting it could be, but actually if they don't see how it can solve some challenges in their world right now, they have no motivation to take action. And so part of your job is to show that compelling value. And the reason it's compelling is because you start to talk about the symptoms of them not having your product. The symptoms not having your product. What do I mean? The symptoms of not having your product. Okay, let's say I'll just do an easy one. Let's say you're a mindset coach. Yeah, I'll just use that one, a real easy one, mindset coach. So you help people get a better mindset, right? So you help people think differently about the way they live life, approach their business, approach their careers. Let's say that's what you do. Okay, great. So when you market, are you going to say, do you need help with your mindset? Because the problem is a lot of the people who need help from a coach help from a mindset coach don't realize they have a mindset problem. What they see is that I can never do that. That's too good for me. I can't afford that. I could never become that. They don't go, oh, maybe all of this is a mindset. That's the people try. Well, if you're a coach going after, do you need a mindset coach? You're actually appealing to the people who are self-aware, they know the problem, and they're looking for a solution, the 3%. But actually, when you flip this around and go, okay, how do I help people by communicating with where they're at? Okay, well, let's look at the symptoms of let's look at the symptoms of needing some work on our mindset. And hopefully you're all getting this analogy. So if I don't apply for a job because I've got a mindset issue, if I don't start a business because of a mindset issue, how do I treat the symptoms of that? So that's where the coach's marketing might switch to, do you want to start a business but don't know where to start? Here's some tips on how you prepare yourself to start a business. Are you looking to progress your career, but you feel inferior, you don't want to apply for it, you feel like you're not up to the scratch yet? So you start to talk to their needs and the reactions. And then as you engage them, guess what? They go, you're right, I can do this. And then that's how you introduce the product or service. And the service links to the content. So the content you're putting and the symptoms are the outward expression. The symptoms are the manifestation that they haven't got you. The symptoms are the manifestation that they haven't bought your product or service that's give them these benefits, these results, these outcomes. So when you think about it like that, if you think your product, your service, somebody buys it, they get all of these results. Okay, so if they are really happy with those results, if people are really happy with those outcomes that my product or service has given them, okay, let's reverse engineer it and let's start talking to people who don't have those results. Simple version of it. If you're a business owner and you want to save money on your operating costs, well, guess what? Our marketing message can be talking about inflation and the challenges of running a business through inflation. And some of the value you bring is some of the key areas highlighting how businesses do waste money, how businesses are building up costs that they don't need. So you attract people with a symptom, and because the symptom's there, they're going, yeah, this is relevant to me. I need to pay attention to this. And so they pay attention, they engage with you, you're elevated because you're understanding their problem. Think about it. If I could get inside your heads right now and think about your challenges, I could put a post out and you might stumble across it and I might speak to one of the symptoms that you're experiencing. And so what happens is you bump into that, and because it's on your mind, you pay attention. And because you pay attention and I talk about the challenges you might have, I start to resonate with you because I'm speaking, one, in your language, but I'm also speaking in a very relevant way to you because it's pertinent information to you. I'm not talking about how amazing your business could become because of my product. I'm actually talking about the reality of where you are right now and some of the things that you can do right now to fix something. And so as a result, you pay attention and you get value from that because I'm speaking to you. One of the biggest value pieces, think about it, GPs, doctors in the surgery, what are they paid to do? Diagnose you and give you medicine. Even in today's wage economy, a GP is a very well rewarded job and a very well trusted job. Your job as a marketer and a salesperson is to become a GP. You talk about symptoms, you talk about the things that are going on, and as people draw in, you diagnose them. Do not underestimate the power of diagnosis. I added some feedback to a study that was put together about social selling and thought leadership recently that was published by, I think LinkedIn authored some of it. And I said, please do not miss that thought leadership around diagnosis, in other words, explaining things, is really powerful today. There's a school of thought about the way the world is going as it gets more complex, people are looking for straightforwardness and straightforward answers. As the world's becoming more complicated, actually straightforward and clear-cut solutions become important. Doesn't mean your offer, it doesn't mean your product or service is simple. It might be a complex offering, but actually to get the attention and get the engagement, you have to make it simple and easy to grab hold of so that you get the opportunity to have a conversation and expand it. So I've got to pick up the pace because we've only got 20 minutes left. So the compelling value is actually, it's about diagnosis, it's about symptoms, it's about using content, emails, outreach to actually talk about the problems that people have, the challenges and the symptoms, not necessarily the root causes at this stage, because some of your prospects don't understand that your service will fix a root cause. They're more fixated on the immediate problem in front of them. And because they're fixated on the immediate problem in front of them, you have to communicate at that level. And as you go communicate at that level, you know, have you got a headache? Actually, we know that probably they've not been sleeping well or something. You ask them the questions to draw them in. You'd use the content to speak about the symptoms. So that's the what. The why is we live in a complex world. People don't give time easily. You need seconds on LinkedIn. You need seconds in email to get people's attention. They pay attention to the symptoms more than the root cause. So you use the symptoms as a lever to open a bigger conversation, to get to the real diagnosis. How? Simple. Write down a list of things, right? And on one, get a piece of paper. On this side of this piece of paper, I want you to write down all of the benefits that your product or service will have, real world, tangible benefits that it would have to a customer if they bought from you. Write them down, get as specific as you can. Don't go improved operational efficiency. Yeah, make them specific, right? Then put your product in the middle. So Dean's Accelerator Program. Yeah, so I've put Dean's Accelerator Program in the middle. Build a pipeline, get more clients, convert faster, scale sales, put all of those on that side. Okay, accelerators in the middle. And now on this side, I put, okay, if this is all the benefits and this is the service I'm selling, what has to be going on in the prospect's world to need that and want that? Real simple, reverse engineer, start with the benefits. And it can be as simple as, and I'll just give you a simple, if I can help people over on this side, if I can help people grow their sales, reduce the friction, and get rid of the need to cold call on this side, that's one of the benefits. Over here is, I'm struggling to get in contact with people, I hate cold calling, and it's not really working. Simple. So you just reverse engineer from your benefits, the things that you deliver for clients that make a difference, and your value is how big of a problem is this and how big of a win is that. And every customer will add that up in their own head, and they'll quantify it against your price, they'll quantify it against the service, the time that it takes to deliver, and work out whether they want that or not. And your job is to do this exercise until you find what we call the most valuable pain point. And the most valuable pain point is the point over here to the point over there, which is the most difficult and painful. And then you leverage that in content, outreach, the works. And there's multiple, there's not just one, but you'll have one that really hits the mark quickly. And you leverage that in email, in outreach. Even you could make a cold call. You could make a cold call, but the first firing block you have to get off is this a problem? So that they pay attention. You can do this, then you can translate this into content on LinkedIn, and you actually just talk about that problem and that outcome. And as a result, guess what? People pay attention. Now there's a whole other dynamic, and that's why the TASTE formula is pretty good, which I'll share it. Vasiliki said, we don't always know what the pain points are. So when you're doing outreach, one of the things that you have to do is you have to land a message bang on, right time, right place, right message to get a response. So easy for people to ignore you. That's why we teach the 7 steps of social selling to get the messages more responsive. But Vasiliki, I'm going to give you one tip here, and if you're ready, I'm going to give you one tip. And Gillian's just wrote about emails. Watch this for an email, right? And I'm going to give this away right now, but you have to grab it quick. Send an email to some of your prospects and offer them 4 links to different value pieces. Yeah, and say, thanks for connecting Tim or Steve or Gillian or Vincent. I thought I'd share these resources with you that would help you. And what you do is you create 4 pain point resources. They can be blogs, they can be anything. And say a lot of people in the industry are having some of these challenges. So I've shared 4 blogs or 4 PDFs or whatever with you to help and track the clicks. Just track the clicks. Because if people will opt for the one that's most interesting to them. Does everybody get that? Send an email, thanks for connecting, with 4 links, and give them 4 choices on their pain points. You know, Vasiliki said there was a few. Use 4. David Dawson's asked a question I'll come to in a minute. Use 4, send the 4 links to them in one email, and track the clicks to see which people respond to, and that's your follow-up. Because they've just told you, this is the most important one to me. So David's asked, what's the secret to linking content of posts to a pain point when trying to reach out to the masses? David, real simple. If I'm a business owner struggling to get clients, I might say to you, actually, your value proposition's off. But the business owner is only thinking about, I need to get clients, I need to get clients, I need to get clients. They might think that, no, our value proposition. I know that their value proposition, their messaging is off. I could tell them, but they won't listen because they're so obsessed with the symptom of, I need to get more clients. So one of the things I do, I know I can fix pretty much any sales issue in any business. I've been doing this long enough, I know I can fix it. If I can integrate sales and marketing, I can fix it. So I know that if people are having a client onboarding issue, a sales issue, it usually comes down to message, value proposition, and the strategy behind how they're outreaching. But if I start to talk about those, I won't appeal to the people with the highest need. So what I do is I talk about how they get more clients, and I talk about the challenges they might be facing because they're not getting clients. So I agitate almost the symptom, and then people pay attention. And then when I'm on a call with them, I say, okay, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? Right, I see the problem, and I diagnose them as the sales call. And this is where the final one, the clear-cut offer, becomes important. I'm not talking about a deal. I'm talking about positioning your product or service so that it's easy to grab hold of from a customer who has a need. By that, I mean, we call it the four corners of your offer, that the price is known, the deliverables and how it works. This is key. So the clear-cut offer is, it's easily defined. It shows you what problems it solves. It shows you the results it delivers, and it shows you the detail of what's involved. They need to know that. They need to be aware of it. They need to be able to relate how that can work to their business, and they need to believe it will make a difference. Again, consistently landing that message. This is not a popular thing, but I would say to you, if you've got a product, I would make sure that you put it into your feeds in your content at least once a week. Not every day, once a week, so it's seen, it's known, it's there. Share testimonials. Again, the taste formula will help with this, but you put it out there to make it clear so people understand it, they're a bit more familiar with it, and then when you do the call, you diagnose, you ask the questions about the symptoms, you diagnose them, and then say, let me tell you about the prescription. The prescription is, if we want to solve the headache, the sore back, the runny nose, the sore ears, the stumped toe, this is how we can do it. And I've spotted that what the real cause of this is, and if we do these, it'll solve all of that. This is what we need to do, this product, and this is what we do, and this is how we implement it, X, Y, and Z. So somebody else is how to track the clicks when you send them 4 different pieces of info on other sites. So Elizabeth, depending on what email service you're using, there will be click tracking involved. So if you're using something like HubSpot, you've got click tracking in there. If you've got something like MailChimp, you could use that there, but obviously you want to make the emails a bit more personal. There's a few different ways you can do it, but you need probably an email service or a CRM service, but you can track the clicks. Now, LinkedIn does have a click tracking too in their Sales Navigator features. And again, if you want some more information about that, you can do it. Click tracking and LinkedIn's really effective because you can see how long they spent on the links. So that would be the perfect way to do it. Yes, so HubSpot's a good one. So you need a clear-cut offer, what it is, right? Why they need it and how it makes a difference. And remember, the difference for the prospect is the pain to the result. How big of an issue is that for them? Is it £1 million problem? Is it a £10,000 problem? If you pick the wrong thing, is it no problem at all and they're quite happy living with the limp? This is a key thing that you need to get. Now, I'm going to give you an activity plan. Yeah, Louise, evidence and testimonials, but doing it in a subtle way, sharing it. Don't do call to actions on everything. People recoil from call to actions, so you use them carefully. When you really want people to take action, you use a call to action, but not on everything that you're doing. It doesn't make sense. Elizabeth, LinkedIn, if you go to my YouTube, there is a video on there about how to track clicks on LinkedIn on my YouTube channel. Go there, give us a subscribe. If you're struggling to find it, drop us an email and we'll send you the link to the video, and it walks you through how to do it. So you need this clear-cut offer. You need to, people need to get it, and you need to make it clear how it solves the problem, how it gets rid of the pain, gets them to an outcome. That's the value for them. And the time frame and the cost needs to be clear, and the cost has to align with the size of the problem. So if you're trying to sell something for £10,000 and it's not a real issue, they're not going to bite you. They're not going to bite and make a decision to buy. So you need to map your pain points and your symptoms to appeal to the most valuable pain point. So what do we do with this? What we're going to do, there's a book that expands the guide. It's a guide, 28 pages, I think it is. You can have it for free. Drop us an email and we'll send it to you. Here's what you need to do. Exercise number 1. You need to do that blank piece of paper exercise. Yeah, you need to do that. Not just go away and say, that's a good idea. Do it. That will give you your messaging, and you can tie that back to your product. So then you can spin that with the taste formula into content. Whilst you're doing that, bearing in mind your content will be able to speak to more people than you can speak to on a daily basis. So if you're posting content daily and you're growing your connections daily, or you're outreaching daily and sharing value the 4 blogs, if you're doing that on a daily basis, not to tens of thousands, but a few hundred, and you're getting a few hundred people every day, you'll be getting feedback from people telling you what resonates, what doesn't. And from that, Timothy's just put his made a living for 30 years, leveraging the last 3% of the market. Yeah, Tim, the 97% is cool. So you're doing all of this. So the content is working for you, educating people. If you're growing your network on LinkedIn or you're out on email and sharing these value pieces, it's telling you, the emails are telling you, the clicks are literally telling you how to follow up with people. Because if they click the how to get more clients, guess what? I can follow up and say, I've got some help. I could show you how to get more clients. Would you like to have a chat? It's that simple. But I'm literally building opportunities. But then not everybody's going to be ready to buy there and then. So as you're doing this mass activity, giving value, you can sift through that to find the people who are ready to buy now and nurture the rest. Engage with them, interact with them, share more value, keep doing it, keep doing it. You're effectively bringing people to the boil. So whilst you're doing what you have to do, with the blogs and the content, you're getting people engaged, and they're telling you how to sell to them because they're responding to the post, and they're responding in views and clicks and likes and opens. Yeah, so the people are responding. You can then follow up the people who have engaged the most, nurture those to a call. But the beauty of this process is you don't have to burn anybody in the process by pitching them and them ignoring you, or pitching you and giving you an expletive, because you're literally giving value, elevating yourself. People are resonating with the message. And I do it every day. And now I've got to the point 5 years in, of doing this every single day. Every single day I'm doing the same process, where if I stop, my leads will still come in probably for a few weeks or months after I stop. So if I hibernated my LinkedIn, if I stopped my outreach and engaging and adding value on email, if I stopped my Instagram, I would still be fed with leads for a period. But then comes the catch, which we come full circle back to the beginning. If you get too busy and don't continue this, it will dry up. It may not dry up as quickly, but this is an ongoing activity. Effectively, what you're doing, as we call it, is priming your market. You're mass adding value through content and outreach. And so people are becoming familiar with you. They're getting value from you. They're understanding more about you. They're curious. They're visiting the website. You're doing all this stuff. And as they signal to you that they need help, you can engage them. And I could fill my diary. I mean, when I started this business 8 years ago, I was doing it in a very more simplistic way because it was just me on my own. But as I've done it, I've realized I got too busy. So I need to help, and I need help. And now we're here with a team of 45 people doing exactly what I'm telling you to do today. And some people will watch this and go, yeah, that's great. And tomorrow they'll be pitching people on LinkedIn. And some people go, yeah, that's great, Dean. But actually, I'm still going to send my automated outreach on email. When I'm telling you, you can do a process where it'll effectively feed you. And as long as you don't stop, it will feed you, and you keep building your network and your audience. It will feed your business for as long as you need it to. So I would encourage you to do it. Now, I've gone through a lot here, and I've got to run because I've only got 3 minutes left. I'll get rid of my, it's quite cool animation, but it's a bit too much for a live presentation, I think. But this is a model we teach. This is a model we've developed, we've built out. We know the pitfalls. We know how to engineer the process that works. You have to create the demand, and you have to reduce the friction. If you don't want to hard sell, if you don't want to push, you need to reduce the friction in the process. Yeah, reduce the reasons people would say no. And so this is a proven model. We've been doing it for a long time. But if you'd like more information, obviously you can get all the resources, the book, the taste video. If you'd like some more information, I've done it again with a real, whoa, free strategy call for you with our team. They'll walk you through this, explain it a bit more. If you go away from that and go, that's great, thank you, I'm going to plow ahead with this by myself, that's fantastic. If you want to work with us, that's cool too. We have a program and a group accelerator where we help you implement this quickly together. We test it, we'll get you into webinars, we'll get you into social selling, we'll get you into email outreach, and we'll do it all at speed. So you've built this up, you've built this machine that feeds you with clients. So if you want a strategy call, go get the link. The link is there. It's on screen, digital-selling.co.uk. Just fill in the Calendly on there, book your time, and we'll give you some tips. And if you want more help, we'll give you more help, but we'll give you some tips on how to implement this. I need a drink now, so I'm going to sign off and say thank you for joining us today. I hope this has been helpful. I hope we put some light bulbs on and probably give you some relief that there is a way to grow your business, to scale your sales without having to push all the time. But you have to just invest some time in building the system out and building the machine out. And it's not a system as in a computer system, it's just processes that you're going to build. Go book the call, drop us an email if you want the resources. I'll see you next week for another live session. So please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, wherever you're joining us. Share the love, that would be fantastic. And come find me on LinkedIn or Instagram too. And I'll see you next week for another free training session.
Last year, Maverick has helped generate more than 15 million in new business. The biggest reason for this is our 90-day training and implementation platform we call the Accelerator Program, where we teach your team to sell on social media with an implement-as-you-go strategy. It's not a pre-recorded course, it's hands-on sales training that develops and grows with you, with 90 days of real action that generates business and long-term revenue. So who is it for? This program is for entrepreneurs, marketing and sales professionals who want to sell without ads, cold calling or pushy tactics. A better way of selling with real steps to take which speeds up your sales process without burning any bridges. These are just a few examples of results our members have achieved using the Accelerator. As you can see, the Accelerator isn't about quick wins, it's about building a better sales process. If you'd like to learn more, just book a call with the Maverick team and we'll show you how the Accelerator program can win you new business.